Well coached, great organization, but we're trying to change something around here, and we're making it known night by night, but we're nowhere near scratching the surface of what we can do.
Trick or treat to you, Deuce.
Hey.
Trick or treat to you, Braylon.
Bye-bye, guys.
Tell Daddy to give you all the candy tomorrow.
Something tells me those two little Dalmatians will do well. Trick or treating.
Yeah, Chris Miles, since she was talking about me, again, Dalmatians, not pandas.
Not pandas, Dalmatians.
You
heard the word change.
Oh, that's right, New York. Now we know why.
You heard the word change from Bradley Beal there, and you see it almost every season in the NBA. A coaching change can mean a philosophical change and sometimes a radical one. Now, in this case, the roster turned over a bunch as well because of the Russell Westbrook trade. But this team has been mostly abysmal defensively over the last few years. They improved toward the end of last year, but mostly not great, 20th in the league in defensive rating. And you heard Bradley Beal talking about nobody believed he could play defense and their defensive approach. And maybe that has something to do with them being 5-1 right now.
Yeah, and listen, the guys that they brought in, you don't discount when you're able to bring in guys who are complementary pieces that have been a part of a championship team. It helps because they do appreciate the importance of defense. And you saw the last play by KCP with the strip. Kyle Kuzma, 17 rebounds in this game tonight. And he learned how to have an impact without focusing on scoring when he was in L.A. And, that carries over to this group. And give Coach Unseld a lot of credit for getting them to buy in. Spencer Dinwiddie, again, didn't have a great offensive game in terms of shooting it, but he was there playing hard. Montrezl Harrell, another guy that's come over and given them some value. So they're a much improved basketball team. And I tell you what, that was a fun game, the way they played, because it looked like it was over in overtime.
Yeah.
And they just kept fighting, kept competing, and found a way to win a game.
There's so much deeper in addition to the better defense, the better approach.
Well, Thomas Shep has done a great job. When he revamped this roster, they have depth now. Look at it. You got Montrezl Harrell, who's 2 years ago Sixth Man of the Year. He's playing lights out. You got Kyle Kuzma, who's been on a championship team. These guys understand how to play. And then you got Spencer Dinwiddie, who is an all-star caliber point guard. And to Bradley Beal's point, what he's saying is, in the past, I look around, I had to score 35. I didn't have enough energy to score 35 and play defense. But now, we can win games when I go out and get 18, 20 points. I don't have to force anything. I don't have to hunt for shots. I can play basketball now. And it's refreshing because what he understands, what did leading the league in scoring get you when you don't make the playoffs?
Right.
Nothing. Yeah, people pat you on the back. You make the All-Star team. But you sit at home every year and you watch everybody else play.
Yeah.
So what Bradley Beal has finally figured out, man, look, I want to play in the postseason. I want to have a chance. And you look at these guys, if I guard my position, and I share the rock, and we become a closer team and a better team. And Wes Unseld Jr. is doing a tremendous job with this team. They have an identity. They play defense. They pass the ball. They can score. They are a good team. They are a playoff team, and that's the point that we talked about in the Eastern Conference. They are very good. There are no more easy outs in the East, and so Washington is going to be there at the end because their depth is not going to let them go anywhere.
They shot just over 36% and won this game.
Yeah.
In double overtime.
They would have never done that the last 3 months.
No.
They close.
They had to outscore people. They played with an incredibly fast pace, and they had to outscore people because they just weren't ever getting stops.
No, but it helps when your opponent goes 2 for 26 from three.
Also,
they didn't miss him on purpose.
Boston didn't play well offense. This is what it was, an ugly game. It was a really physical game.
Really?
And so that contributed to the fact that both teams struggled to make shots. But again, those games count just as much as when you shoot it well. In fact, those are probably more rewarding. And you just heard it in Bradley Beal's comments about how he felt better about that kind of a game because they had to win that game defensively. They had to make big stops down the stretch when it looked like that they were not going to be able to get away with a win.
2 of 26, by the way, second worst three-point percentage for a team in NBA history with at least 25 attempts. Boston also happens to hold the record for the worst. They were 1 of 25 back in 2014.
Every night we say this, we both play. We both know when we was on. We both know when we was off. And when you sit there and go 2 for 26, when you can drive to the basket, when you can take a 17-footer, when you can do a lot of other things to put the ball in the basket, it blows my mind. It's like we want to win. But if we can't win this way, we just rather lose. And I don't understand that mentality. To me, but that mentality goes out the window when the playoffs start. Yeah. That's
Yes,
the thing
it
that
does,
blows
yeah.
my mind. In the regular season, teams will shoot threes and lose.
It's the math.
Come playoff, Matt, they throw the math out the window.
I understand.
And if they're not making threes, they drive the ball to the basket or they take 15 foot.
I understand. The philosophy for a lot of teams is eventually you're going to revert to the mean, right? You're going to hit your averages, and sooner or later the math is going to play out. Some nights it just doesn't. I agree with you.
Every year
you
in the
got to play
playoffs.
what's happening in the
But
game.
you know what's amazing? Every year in the playoffs, that team that seems like
all of a sudden
can't miss,
all of a sudden
they
that
can't make.
And all of a sudden that mid-range shot looks pretty good at the end of a game. Yeah, Celtics starters, by the way, 0 of 16 from three-point range in this game. All right, we've got more coming up here on Game Time presented by Kia. Steph Curry and the Dubs on the road facing the Oklahoma City Thunder for the second time this young season. We'll get to that when we come back. Obviously, the Jazz were not going to go unbeaten for the entire 82. Road game in Chicago, though, is a tougher assignment than it was a year or two ago. And you know, typically when teams load up on new players, we think of things from an offensive framework. But Chicago didn't have a great offensive night. It was their defense against Utah.
Well, that's the thing. When they put this team together, Mark Eversley and they put this team together, the first thing they talked about was defense and then improving their talent. And so when you look at Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, now those three guys are pros. They can defend their position. They can get out in transition. You got three guys that can handle the ball and pick and roll. And so when you look at this Bulls team, they're a little bit more diversified than what you would think. And if Vucevic at the center, if he can hold down that center position, and if they can rebound enough, losing Patrick Williams, GA, is going to hurt them from the standpoint of depth and a guy that can defend and who's unselfish. But if they can fill that void and rebound the basketball, they can score. And they got three guys now. Those three guys can defend their positions and score. Chicago, they're going to be one of the top 6 teams in the Eastern Conference.
In case you missed it, Patrick Williams in his second year as a wrist injury, requires surgery. He's out probably 4 to 6 months, could be the entire season for him. Big blow to them, but this is a much deeper Chicago team than we've seen the last few years.
They are. Listen, they don't have a lot of offensive firepower off the bench, but to Sam's point, they are much better defensively. And look, there's a formula when you go up against Utah. You've got to take away the three-point shot, first and foremost, and then you've got to figure out a way to contain Donovan Mitchell. And tonight, even though Donovan did have 30, he took 27 shots. So he wasn't an efficient player. And this was a big game for Chicago also because they've gotten off to a good start, but really it was just Utah and New York were the two teams that they've played thus far that were really good teams, right? And they lose to New York, but they bounce back and knock off a really good Utah team. So that's going to, I think, give them some confidence moving forward.
How good can Chicago be, do you think? Barring some sort of pre-trade deadline blockbuster deal. The way they're constituted right now, you mentioned the depth, and maybe they're not, there's not a ton of firepower coming off the bench offensively, but how good can the Bulls be in the East?
I think they can be a good team. I think we still don't really know how good the East is, right? Because Milwaukee's having their struggles. They're dealing with their own injuries. Brooklyn's got stuff going on as well in terms of not having all their pieces.
There's an understatement.
And so because of things like that, Atlanta's gotten off to a slow start. I mean, the key is, can you just win games and be consistent, especially the first half of the season, because that's going to give you more confidence. And right now, when you look at that Eastern Conference, I don't think anybody you have fear of if you're Chicago. They've got to feel good about themselves. And right now, I'd say they have a really good chance to fight for home court in that Eastern Conference. And at the very least, they should be avoiding the play-in game.
You mentioned Vucevic, who they picked up late last season. You can play your offense through him. And then they picked up DeMar DeRozan as a coach. What kind of luxuries are these to have these guys on the floor? DeRozan, you can just give him the ball. He can create a shot for himself at any point.
Well, you're talking about two veteran players that are just below an all-star. Vooch has been an all-star before. DeMar has been one. So those guys know how to play. They know how to win. They both have been a part of winning programs. But the thing that's more important about them, their veteran leadership, they're calm. They know how to play. They're pros. So you're looking at Chicago Bulls team, and to Greg's point, I think this is great because we do know at some point Brooklyn's going to get it right. Philly's going to get their act together. Atlanta's going to start playing better. And Milwaukee, the defending champs, they're going to get better. So what that tells me, when you look at Charlotte, the way they're playing, the Knicks, Chicago, it's just the East is going to be tough. Because the teams that we thought was going to be at the top, at some point, they're going to get healthy. They're going to figure things out. They're going to get in shape. It's early, and they're going to get better. The teams like Chicago that we were iffy about, the Washington Wizards, those teams that are really good, the problem now in the East is no throwaway games.
Yeah. Right.
Who do you look at in the Eastern Conference and say, when we go to this place, we guarantee to win if we just show up and play?
Right.
There are no more ease outs anymore, so it's imperative. The teams that are struggling now that are going to get it right at some point, figure it out. And teams like Chicago, Charlotte, New York, keep pressing, keep winning, and keep trying to add that distance, because at some point, the cream of the crop is going to come back and they're going to slowly walk you down.
Yeah, well, one thing that was impressive, too, they were plus 11 in the turnover battle. How about their three big guns when DeRozan, Levine, and also Vucevic combined to have one turnover?
Yeah.
That's an impressive stat. When you run your offense through those three guys, the majority of the time, they're taking most of the shots. I mean, they combined tonight to take 50 shots, 60 shots, and only one turnover combined. That's a hard formula to compete against.
Hard to lose the game when you do that.
When your best players are that good with the ball.
Hey, let's get you to Minnesota. We're just under 2 minutes now. Denver trailed by as many as 14. They now lead that game by 291-89. Jokic by 291-89. Jokic with 24, 19, and 7 as things stand. Dave Benz and Jim Peterson are on the call in Mini.
Jokic, and a late whistle comes in. Kevin Cutler's going to call Towns for the foul. Jokic going to the line. He's just 1 for 2 at the line tonight.
Karl got into his space a little bit, running up underneath him like that. Jokic doing the dirt move, kind of the fadeaway. Karl just trying to contest him and do a good job defensively. Made him miss, but Jokic sold it for sure.
Rattles the first one in, 3-point game.
A lot of time left here still, 1:25 to go. Jokic trying to make it a 2-possession game.
So 26 and 19 for Jokic, along with 7 assists. The 19 boards match his season high. Wolves need a bucket. Edwards. McDaniels for 3. Timberwolves 13 of 41 from downtown. And now they got to have a stop. Jokic into the corner for Porter. Wolves got a miss, but couldn't get the rebound.
Just can't grab a rebound. Jokic has done a great job of just completely keeping the ball alive and rebounding on that end of the floor.
4 seconds. Jokic throws it to Russell. Edwards looking to get it by Gordon, and Ant with the finish.
Okay. 31.6 to go here. You don't have to foul. Don't foul, D'Angelo.
Wolves are pressing.
You don't need to foul. You got enough of a differential here.
8-second difference as the Target Center crowd rises to its feet.
Got timeouts.
Jokic puts it on the deck. Towns knocks it away. Edwards comes up with the basketball. Nearly threw it away. Beasley has it blocked by Morris. Edwards can't get the second chance, and that's how the game's going to end.
Tonight's final score, your Minnesota Timberwolves 91.
Wow. What a flurry to finish it, and it's Heartbreak Hotel for Minnesota. Wolves had 2 timeouts, and you understand why they didn't use one. They thought they liked their chance to get a transition bucket.
Tickets are on sale now for the next home game, November 1st.
Karl-Anthony Towns pressing up here. Gets the strip on Jokic. Minnesota gets 2 steals on consecutive possessions. And when the shot clock went off, Anthony Edwards thought the clock was going to run out. Credit Will Barton on making an incredible defensive play. And then Ant had to get it up, so he's under the basket with the basketball. Jokic comes in and contests and shuts Ant down at the rim. So credit Minnesota. I mean, really, both teams made great defensive plays down the stretch. Minnesota made 2 to get back into the game. and almost get that thing leveled up. And Will Barton and Jokic made great plays too. Unbelievable game here.
Beasley played his heart out
He
and
did.
18 points, 6 threes. But Jimmy, it really, I mean, the miss by Edwards.
Wow. What a finish. What a block by Will Barton, first of all. First of all, let's go back even further. What a great defensive play by Karl Anthony Towns to get the Timberwolves out on the run, and then the block
first
by
making
Barton.
the bonehead play, the foul on the fadeaway 17-footer by the Joker. But that strip coming back was just great because right here on the pump fake, watch this play, GA. He is beat right here on that pump fake, and they could have hit him with a foul right there when he impeded his progress. But he recovered for the strip. But this is just a great play by Will Barton. That block right there, and Anthony Edwards, he just blew it.
Well, and in fairness, that play was sabotaged when Edwards right here, when he gets it, he doesn't have clock recognition. He's about to launch a shot. Watch this. He was about to shoot that, and then he doesn't throw a great pass. Had he just gone with a hard attack there, I think they scored. But the fact that he pump faked the shot because he wasn't aware of the clock, and then he threw it up to D'Angelo, who wasn't expecting it.
No, and gave up his dribble.
It allowed for the transition defense of Denver to get back into that play. So that is one of the more frustrating ways to lose a game because that was really good defense by Minnesota down the stretch.
And the good thing about it is that the former MVP, the reigning MVP, is the guy that stayed in the play, that lost the ball on the strip, hustled back to just be there to give Anthony Edwards, to make him uncomfortable.
Influenced
to miss
it.
a layup.
He didn't block it.
Yeah, he didn't block it, but he was there, that presence there. And the thing about that, this guy on a bum knee, playing in a back-to-back, and he got stripped, still hustles back to make a play at the end to help his team win.
26 and 19.
On a bad end. Think about that.
And 7 assists.
Well, yeah,
That's why he's MVP. Not because of 26 and 19, but the hustle, but staying in the play to get back.
Yep. And again, he was questionable coming in because of that knee contusion. So back-to-back wins of a very different variety for the Denver Nuggets, who blew out Dallas and then come back and have to come back in Minnesota to win it 93-91.
From Dallas to Minnesota.
Here's the Joker. Let's listen, hear what the Joker had to say afterward.
Nikola, a huge win for you guys on the road. Second night of a back-to-back. The way that it ended, though, take me through your emotions while all that was playing out.
I mean, to be honest, it was a sloppy game. Of course, we landed 3 in the morning. After 3:30, we were in the bed at 4:30. So it was a really we didn't have energy. It was really tough to play. But we figured it out. I think we again held them under 100 points. That's a good thing. Last couple plays were really bad. But Thrill made a winning play. He get back. He blocked the shot. Then he got the rebound, so he made a really winning play, and we need to be better. But it's a long season. It's a back-to-back. We land. Those all can be excuses, but it's part of the NBA.
What does it say about this team?
All right, Nikola Jokic, after a monster game and an incredible effort down the stretch for Denver. How important is it that they win games like this in particular? This was an ugly game. This was a slugfest between these two. Because we've seen over the last few years times when Michael Malone was visibly frustrated by his team's lack of consistency and sometimes effort on that end of the floor.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the reason why they've elevated to the title of contender is because they've gotten so much better defensively. And to be able to go on the road in a back-to-back and score 93 points and win, that says a lot about your defense. And that last play was indicative of it because, they didn't have a great offensive night. They didn't have it tonight, but they just found a way. And these are the kinds of games that ultimately, when you look back, they're going to determine your seeding when you get in the postseason because these are the games that you could easily lose, yet they go and find a way to win. And I'm just really impressed. I was just saying this to Sam. Listen, the Joker might be the best player in this league. I mean, that guy, it's about impact. We get caught up too often in just your statistical numbers.
He's got a lot of those, too.
Yeah, but it's the impact on the overall game. Yeah. Like, they run everything through him.
Yep.
On the offense.
Every possession.
Everything.
Yeah.
And for him to be able to deliver the way he does night in and night out, and then he's also become a much better defensive player. He used to be a liability on that end. Now he's a plus defender. So this is a team that, because of all the chaos we got going on in our league and all the uncertainty with the teams that we assume are going to be there, they're just going about their business winning games. And you're going to look up. They did it the last 2 years. Yeah. 3 seed. They're going to be in the mix again.
And potentially could have Jamal Murray back before the end of the regular season and into the playoffs.
Well, look, you said it. The last 2 years has been about defense. And Coach Michael Malone has been coming out after press conferences upset about the effort, lack of focus, paying attention to details. If you look at this Denver Nuggets team, if they can play defense like this and then get Jamal Murray back and the Joker could continue to play at that MVP level like he played last year, they're healthy now with Will Barton and all these guys, Michael Porter Jr., they are a contending team once they get Jamal Murray back. And right now, if they play defense, they're going to be tough because when you look at it, they can score, they can get out in transition, they can beat you multiple ways. They can play with different lineups. They can go big, small, anything. But the mainstay to everything that they do, that one guy, the Joker, centers around him, and he can do it all. Think about it.
Play different ways, yeah.
Yep.
He's special.
That's a huge finish. That's a fun finish, too, for the Nuggets in Minnesota, and they get the win. So the MVP gets the win tonight. How about number 2 in the MVP vote from last season, Joel Embiid in the Philadelphia